Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Bob Wright, COO, Chief Operating Officer of Charley's Grilled Subs. And Charley's Grilled Subs, headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, has over 300 locations worldwide in 39 states and 11 countries. And that's coming up on segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we've got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. Get 3 months of free advertising when you sign up for our 1-year package. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm doing fine, Marty. How are you this week?
Good, good. It's been a crazy week since I've last spoken to you, Don. We've had, I guess it was about a little over a foot of snow. Halloween, you know,
right.
So
before Halloween, which
Nick
said hadn't happened since the Civil War. Pretty crazy.
Crazy, isn't it? I guess you guys got hit just as bad. We must have got like a foot of snow, but you know, quite honestly, it's all melting. You know, so hopefully by Saturday it should be all gone. I hope.
Yeah, no, we didn't get that much. North Jersey got a lot, but I guess we're spared a little bit.
Yeah,
the last couple of winters have been rough. I'm hoping I have young kids, maybe one little snowstorm, but that's it.
Exactly. Yeah, enough of the snow already. The winters have been pretty long since we've been up here in Pennsylvania. God, it's going to be like 7 years now. So pretty tough winters. But we got a good show today, don't we?
Yeah, excited to have on Charley's Grilled Subs, the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Bob Wright.
Yeah.
Have over 300 locations in 39 states, founded in 86. Year I graduated college. Maybe that's a good sign.
There you go. And it's you and I are no strangers to Philadelphia, of course. You know, I'm about 50 miles from Philadelphia. You're probably about 50 miles yourself from Philly, I guess, where you are done, you know. And I know you and I have both had a Philly cheesesteak, and it's truly out of this world when you have one. It's spectacular, and it's a great story, you know, because it's one of those things where I say kind of like maybe God intervened a bit. It said Charley was taking his family vacation when he missed the exit. It brought him to South Philadelphia, and his first encounter with a local delicacy, a Philly cheesesteak, was love at first bite. Totally hooked. He brought his findings back home to Columbus, Ohio, and began testing recipes on his college buddies. After perfecting the recipe, Charley's fortune took another turn for the best. His mother let him borrow from his life savings to open up the first Charleys on the Ohio State University campus. Sounds like a great location, doesn't it, to open up a Charleys?
Yeah, no doubt. Great.
I mean, if you think about it, you know, you associate it with football games and sporting events and things like that, and, you know, and just, you know, college kids would just, you know, go for something like this. It says the 450-square-foot, 16-seat restaurant featuring Philly steak subs, gourmet fries, and natural lemonade was an instant hit. To keep up with customer demand, Charley began franchising in 1991. Locations began popping up all over the world, including malls, food courts, strip centers, airports, and even Army and Air Force bases. We've seen that before. Remember we were talking to George Nadeff, and he always said that those are pretty great locations if you can get into those, like Army and Air Force bases. I never thought about that before. It says you can now enjoy award-winning taste of Charley's Grilled Subs in hundreds of locations from Ohio to Hawaii to Alaska to Japan and beyond. So get ready to get hungry today. You know, I was planning on having a big breakfast this morning so I wouldn't get distracted, and I didn't do that. So I'm going to be this is going to be painful for me, today's show. You know, but looking forward to having Bob on the show. I've been following Charley's a long time now, and they really are a fantastic franchise. Let's see, November 10th, Don, we have an interesting show. I know you're familiar with these guys, Auntie Anne's, right?
Right.
And we're going to be talking about how franchises choose charities. And, of course, talking about the Auntie Anne's franchise opportunity as well. How well-known franchises can go about choosing a charitable partner that resonates well with the brand's identity and generates healthy participation from both employees and customers. I know you guys at Diamond, you do a lot of things relating to charities as well, don't you? I mean, I've seen on the website, I think. I know there's a couple different charities that Diamond is associated with. So
always
that's
important.
Great.
That's why I always try to read it on the show when I see franchisors involved with charities, like the Yum Brands of the world and companies going and helping others, so many people in need. It's always great to give back, of course. Oh, yeah,
absolutely. Auntie Anne's, the franchise opportunity, we're meeting with Bill Dunn, President and COO of Auntie Anne's. It says 1,130-unit franchise, best known for its freshly baked, hand-rolled pretzels. Auntie Anne's recently selected Pediatric, Cancer Foundation, Alex's Lemonade Stand, as its new charitable partner after franchise partners and corporate associates went through a collaborative process to determine a beneficiary that best resonated with the brand. So we're going to be talking about that because I think that's an important topic. You know, of course, yes, the show is about franchising and things like that, you know, but I think it's important to discuss things like this as well, you know, on the show. So
definitely
looking forward to that as well. And they have a long history as well. I think they're from Pennsylvania, Don. I think Lancaster, actually. So we'll find out on the show next week. Let's see, November 17th. I know you're a little familiar with these guys, and we were talking about them last week. Cafe to You. And, you know, the more research I do on these guys, they seem like a very interesting opportunity. It's kind of like a portable mobile coffee franchise, right? It kind of comes to you instead of you going to it. So I think that's very clever. Here's the big announcement for the week of Thanksgiving is our 250th show and 5 years of doing franchise interviews, if you can imagine, Don. It seems like yesterday we did our first show with PB Loco, and here we are 5 years later, 250 shows. And, you know, you and I put a lot of thought as far as who we're going to have on that particular show, and we thought that Steve Caldera would be fantastic. So, and Steve is the president and CEO of the International Franchise Association. We've never had him on the show before, and I've been talking about it now for a long time, you know, getting NIFA on the show. We said, well, this would be the most appropriate time to bring them on. So
that'll be fun about talking about everything in franchising. You know, the good things, the bad, the trends.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell us all.
He's got an interesting background, too, Don. And, you know, we're going to put all this up on the website. So Steve Caldera, President and CEO of the International Franchise Association, the world's oldest and largest organization representing the franchising industry, headquartered in Washington, D.C. The IFA works to protect, enhance, and promote the U.S. franchise industry, which consists of more than 825,000 U.S. franchise businesses that create nearly 18 million jobs and $2.1 trillion of economic activity annually. IFA members include franchise companies operating across 300 business lines, including food service, hospitality, a number of different industries. As president and CEO, Mr. Caldera works with the IFA board to set the direction for organization's strategic priorities, government relations and public policy, including the association's political action committee, media relations, public relations, and professional development programs. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. His bio is just incredible. So Steve's going to talk about all that on the show. So it's going to be, you know, a privilege and an honor to finally have him and the IFA on the show, because we have been talking about it such a long time now.
Be a nice franchise industry recap. Get all caught up. That's all the positives in one show.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have a bunch of other shows scheduled. I should have the list in front of me. I know we have Joe LaBava coming on the show. He's going to be talking about his new book. We have Warren Greshus. I just got the book yesterday. He came out with the best damn management book ever. Warren Greshus, to me, is one of the, well, he's in the Hall of Fame of speakers, but he's really the most amazing person to speak with. So it's going to be fun to have him back on the show. What else? We're going to have this year, we're doing for the first time, it's been a little work, we're doing the 12 days of franchising, and I guess that starts on the 13th, you know, and it goes all the way to, I guess, Christmas Eve, and it's going to be franchise interviews every day, and it's going to be a different franchise, and we're coming up with a list right now as far as, you know, who's going to be on the show that particular day. So maybe you can buy your husband or wife or a child a franchise for the holidays, right? Who knows? But anyway, so we got so much going on. It's really exciting to kind of end the year with a big boom, you know. So
now shows are playing more. We're on other stations, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we can't forget our friends at Live 365. You know, right now you can actually hear a show being played by franchise interviews. You know, as the best way to grow a radio station is to syndicate the show, and so you go on the internet, go to Google and type in franchise interviews. You'll be shocked that we're like just everywhere and anywhere up to this point. So the strategy worked particularly well. You know, it took a while to get there, but we got there. Our last show, we met with Kathleen Gilmartin of Interim Healthcare Franchise Opportunity. Founded in 1966, Interim Healthcare is the oldest and most established healthcare franchise in the country, offering a full range of home care and healthcare staffing services through their 300 offices, more than 65,000 people a day. It's incredible, the history of this particular franchise. I mean, she was an incredible speaker, wasn't she? I mean, she just presented the opportunity so well. You know, she's so passionate about it, and talk about having the right person steering the ship for an organization. I think she's probably one of the best.
Yeah, she's very good at explaining and and telling all of us why that franchise has been so successful, why the business is doing so well. That's getting to be a pretty populated industry. There's been a lot of franchise companies over the last 5-6 years that are now in that space, providing certain types of home care to seniors or people with special needs. It's becoming a crowded space, so you got to make sure that you're one of the better ones to stay on. But I like how they're diversified. They've been around a while. They're huge. It's always a big selling point when you can say you've been around so long and you have so many offices, and it seems like there's no weak spots with them.
It's one of the things I love about franchising. I mean, again, there's many things, but to be able to say that you've been in business, you open your business, let's say you open it November 1st. Well, I mean, you can still say, Interim Healthcare started in 1966. You can't do that, when you open up your own, Don's Healthcare Service or whatever it may be. The birth date is when you open the doors, and that's what you get with franchising. I mean, Charleys can say that, they started, their business in was it 1986,
Right.
25 years they've been in business doing this. And that says a lot. That's what makes franchising, I think, so powerful. But she was very honest. I mean, she said, this is a lot of work, this type of business. It's not an easy business, I mean, you are going to be doing a lot of work. It's a feel-good business, where you feel good at the end of the day and you can make significant money. But you're going to have to work for it, too. And it seems like there's a lot of education in the business as well. You have to be open to learning new things and changes in the laws and things like that. So I was really...
That's what's nice about franchising, because you forget about those little type things, You think of food business, open up, what's the big deal? It's food, you're serving food, but so many little... And I used to own a food business. There's a lot of little things. There's a lot of guidelines. You're constantly, being checked on by township for different things. It's, it's not easy. You need someone in your corner.
Right.
These days in business, basically, you just need help in all areas to maximize to make profit. And initially finding the location, choosing the right franchise, all such important steps. But then once you are in business and you hit some of those bumps in the road early on, you're not alone. And that's one of the best parts. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, again, when you look at the statistics, Don, over a 10-year timeline, and I'm talking about the non-franchise route, just starting your own business. I think it's about 80% will typically be out of business over a 10-year period of time. And with franchising, those numbers are a lot different.
Right.
So again, it's interesting. So I thought she did a great job. So I had an interesting article today that we wanted to discuss too. I hope we have time. Our guest hasn't called in yet, so
we'll get into a little bit, a couple minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
The title is "Would a Franchisor Make a Good President?" This is from Mark Siebert through Entrepreneur.com. He says, I was speaking to my colleagues at an IFA annual convention in Vegas. My business partner turned to me and said, don't look now, but Mitt Romney, who's, I guess, one of the Republican candidates looking to be president, is right behind you. Since Romney was a speaker at that convention, it was not a huge surprise. What did surprise me were the stories he related about his acquisition of Domino's Pizza while at Bain Capital and the lessons he learned from that franchisor. At last, I thought a candidate who can relate to franchisors.
Yeah.
More recently, I learned that Herman Cain, who's another candidate, whose popularity has jumped in the latest polls, also has experience as a franchisor, having started his professional career at Coca-Cola, then went to Burger King and Godfather's Pizza.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me that we really would have a franchisor as our next president. But putting aside politics, the thought of a franchisor running the country is one that appeals. After all, when a franchisor is in charge, there are certain things that I have come to expect. Here's a list. First, leadership. Franchising, perhaps more than any other business endeavor, requires leadership. Sure, any successful business person will need leadership skills, and many of the talents required for the franchisor are the same as those of a big business chief, having vision, developing a plan, building a team, inspiring that team to achieve the vision. But in franchising, successful leaders need to bring more to the table. Not only do they have to inspire, but they have to lead franchisees whose economic interests are not always aligned with those of the franchisor. So a president who can motivate those on both sides of the fence toward a common goal would be a great start. Second thing goes, franchisors spur job growth by focusing on small business. According to the IFA, franchisors create jobs at a significantly faster clip than other sectors. IFA studies have shown that in the 5 years following the recession of 2001, franchisors outpaced other businesses in terms of jobs, payroll, economic output, and total establishments open. I expect that any president that we elect will be focusing on job creation, but a franchisor intuitively will understand that small business is the engine that will lead that growth.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, franchisors can grow without over-borrowing. Franchising is a strategy in which franchisor provides initiatives to franchisees, incentives to franchisees, so that the franchisor can grow without incurring substantial debt. Given the size of the federal deficit, the U.S. government, with its ability to print money whenever it chooses, seems not to have learned that lesson of fiscal restraint. And while the franchisor would certainly understand the importance of short-term borrowing to achieve a desired growth objective, long-term deficit spending is unsustainable in anyone's book. Perhaps a franchisor's perspective would be helpful here. That's interesting. Franchisors are growing because franchisees are paying the royalty. They're getting money coming in.
Right.
It's not like they have to take on debt to add new units.
Exactly. Right.
Franchisors simplify and develop systems. The best franchisors have systems for everything. They try to simplify whenever possible to reduce waste and eliminate the opportunity for mistakes. They figure out the systems that are most productive and institutionalize them. They develop metrics and benchmarks to measure and track performance. The government, on the other hand, is a case study of overcomplication, disorganization, and bureaucracy.
It's definitely not a system, is it?
With a lack of accountability and measurement at virtually every level. A good franchisor would have a field day with this. The only question is where to start. My recommendation, the U.S. tax code. Isn't that kind of a funny analogy, though?
Yeah,
a franchisor is constantly trying to improve their system and cut overhead, make their systems efficient, make it easier for the franchisee. It's all what it's about, simple, easy, follow the system, always cutting costs, always trying to increase profit margin. And the U.S. government really is it's overspending, it's misuse, it's overcomplicated, it's disorganized, it's big government. That's a funny analogy. It's really just almost the extreme opposite.
Exactly. It's anti-franchise if you think about it, right? Or anti-system if you think about it. It's very powerful. I mean, that's amazing. I never thought of it from that perspective, but
this is a really cool article when you're kind of, basically that's what you need. You need someone who thinks small business, who's going to have the priority on trying to create jobs and get people working, and it's just sad that what built this country is letting people create and grow and start their own business, and what turned out to be the best country. Now a lot of our leadership is not doing all that. Is not promoting that, which is really ridiculous. The last part of this article talks about entrepreneurship. Franchisors, by their very nature, think outside the box. They look for ways to do things differently and to improve performance. And if ever we were in need of some fresh and innovative thinking in government, the time is now. Of course, it would be remiss if I didn't point out that there are franchisors who fail. And there are certainly franchisors that do not embody the industry's best practices. It goes without saying that the leader of the free world needs expertise in a variety of areas, not the least of which is foreign policy. That goes beyond what experience in the franchising industry might offer. But for my money, I wish Ray Kroc, who turned McDonald's into an empire, were still alive. He would get my vote.
Wow.
He'd vote for Ray Kroc.
That's an interesting perspective. I mean, in all the years we've been doing the show, I've never thought of it that way. Is to can you run the government like you run it, like you'd run a franchise?
Right.
And again, we've seen over the last year or two, Don, a lot of thinking outside the box, haven't we? Amongst the franchisors and the franchisees as well. Franchisees making suggestions to the franchisor on being creative. And they've come up with some very interesting concepts. So I think that's fantastic.
Good points, Phil. Like leadership, always having to be thinking to improve your system. Franchisors can grow without over-borrowing. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Important stuff, too, of course, around the country. And, wow, so we're going to have to talk a bit more about that. So why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break. I see our guest Bob is called in, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth!
Franchise Interviews. For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the franchipreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Bob Wright, the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Charley's Grilled Subs. And headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, Charley's has over a quarter of a century experience with over 300 locations worldwide. Hey, Bob, how you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks very much. I'm glad to be here. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well, Bob. Thank you for coming on the show. And I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Bob as well.
Yeah, Bob, it's great to have you on. Like Marty said, we've been looking forward to having Charley's Grilled Subs on for a while. You guys have been around a while, and I've exhibited at trade shows and seen you guys at shows. And speaking to some of your staff, always good people, and guys seem like you have a good team over there.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel real fortunate to be part of the Charley's team for the last year. It's a great story though. Charley Shin, our founder, started the business 25 years ago. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year, and as you guys mentioned in the intro, we're now up to 440 locations in 16 countries. And continuing to grow. We're one of the great things in an economy like this is to see growth in one of the brands in this space, and we'll grow our unit count this year about 13%. We've been blessed with some same-store sales growth through the recession, and just working our best that we can to take care of our customers, and franchisees are being rewarded with it.
That's great. That 25-year number that's a milestone too, Bob, isn't it? I remember, Don, when we had the CEO of Rita's on the show, and he said it was a really big deal. When you hit that 25-year mark, kind of like you made it. You have something spectacular. So congratulations on that. I think that's fantastic. I think it is a significant number to celebrate 25 years in business, especially today.
Oh, there's no question about it. One of the great things about having our founder that's still an active part of the organization as our CEO is we get to have those conversations, and there's such a great story and history that goes with how Charley started with his first store. He was in his 20s and started on OSU's campus, Ohio State's campus right here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And built the brand from there. But, when you start to peel back those stories, you always find that it comes back to some of the relationships with franchisees. You meet franchisees that have been in the business for 20 years. And one of our FAC members is a 20-year veteran of Charley's and still has the one store that he opened. And year over year just keeps building that business, makes a nice living for his family. And I think that's what starts to develop the strength that goes to the core of a brand that's able to make it this long.
Yeah, I would agree. We also guess where you're calling from this morning, Bob.
I'm right here in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, great.
We're seeing some nice weather.
Good.
Fall's turning, and of course, in our business, a lot of our stores are in food court locations, malls, and airports and military bases. So we're gearing up for the busy season for us. We're much more seasonal, I think, than some other restaurant chains. So we like to see this time of year come.
That's fantastic.
So what made Charley so popular early on, Bob? It must have being on a campus is great. You sort of can't go wrong there. I know the food was probably good. So talk maybe about the early years on why it took off so much, and then like any company, kind of had to transform itself. Why is it going so well today?
Well, I think the answer to both of those questions are the same. At the core of any great food company, it's my belief. I've been in the business for 25 years now myself, and you're going to come back to some of those answers that may not seem very glitzy, but it's about great quality food, a service model that works not only for the operators but for the customer, and a value equation that over delivers on what the customer wants. I think that's what Charley started with. He would tell you if he were here on the phone that it really is all about the quality of the food. One of the neat things that I think we do at Charley's that a lot of food companies are going to talk about their quality of service, speed, cleanliness, and the basics of a healthy operation. But we make no bones about the fact that we actually prioritize those. And quality is number one. It is the first thing. It's the most important thing. And while we certainly expect our operators to hit on all 8 cylinders, there is no lack of clarity that the quality of that food and the food experience is at the heart of what we do. It might seem simple when you look at our operations. We make the food right in front of our customers. That steak doesn't hit the grill until someone places the order. So it is prepared and grilled fresh from the time that the food is ordered, and it always has been, and it always will be. It's that important to not only the quality of the ingredients, but the quality of those sandwiches whenever they're made.
And how do you describe the whole, I guess you could say, the franchise system? I mean, if you guys were at a franchise show, Bob, and someone comes up to your booth and I say, okay, well, what do you guys do? How do you typically respond to them?
Well, it's we domestically, there's probably a couple of good answers to that question, but domestically we're a pretty traditional franchise model. We've got we've got fees that are in the industry range, and for someone that may want to get started with one restaurant, has the right kind of background and experience and entrepreneurial spirit to get into the food franchise business, then you can come in, go through our training program, and develop one store, and maybe grow from there, or have that one great store that delivers the kind of returns on your personal investment that you're looking for. I think domestically we're a traditional franchise model. I think we've been served well with our partnership with APHIS, the Army Air Force Exchange Service, and so that's suffice it to say that's another large partnership model that's proven to work real well for us as well. And then as we continue to expand internationally, that single unit beginning point, that starting off as sort of an operator franchisee is certainly an option for us, but it's definitely proving out that the larger master franchise relationship, or at least a strong area development agreement in whatever country that we're entering, is the best model for us whenever we go outside the U.S. There's so many complexities with starting a food operation in other countries that having the broad-based development experience, having the connections with the various supply chains that are necessary to get the quality ingredients that we're looking for, the operations expertise where you've grown and developed a growing organization and the people to support it. Those are things that take years to develop. Those skills take years to develop. So starting at the right level of maturity for those business units proves to be much more successful internationally. Now that raises the stakes for franchisors like us.
Right.
We are very careful with the partnerships that we establish. We are of course with every store, but if you're going to do a 15 or 20 store deal, or even tie up exclusivity in an international market, then we have a pretty thorough vetting process, including regional trips and visits, and we like to visit other businesses that people may have.
And business never stops. You can never be content, is where your most successful franchise systems. There's always better ways to market, always better ways for the product, always better training. I guess that's the Charleys thinking process also.
No doubt about it. I think you're right. If businesses do stop, a wise man in my family once said, "You're either growing or you're dying." And we can look at that in a very linear sense, and you might think that's all about unit growth, but to me it's more about innovation. What are those core strengths of any organization? And honestly, if it's a family, if it's a church organization, if it's a community, in our case, if it's our Charleys franchise system and our brand, what are those core strengths that make us our best on our best day? And how do we continue to innovate in and around those things so that we can stay relevant and we can stay ahead of whatever value improvements other chains are making, and make sure that we're putting forth the best brand for our franchisees to continue to be successful. This franchising relationships last for years and decades even, especially if they make it through generational changes with families. And the brands that thrive are the ones that are continuing to evolve and innovate. And we're doing just that. We one of our exciting growth models that we've been talking about a little more openly is taking those core strengths, our great fresh-made, high-quality ingredient sandwiches. We get a lot of credit for our fries with our customers. We've got excellent quality fries, always made fresh, but then we have a gourmet line of fries with different toppings on them, And our all-natural lemonade has been a part of the brand since Charley opened the first store 25 years ago. So we've been doing some innovation around those core strengths of the food product, and then what is it about the customer's experience that people are looking for, and whether it's within Charleys, or actually we've looked at some of the winning customer service models that fit today's customers' lifestyles, and what we're doing with that specifically is we're now evolving and innovating around the brand so that we can bring it away from those food courts and continue to grow and bring it to more people in more places. We've given ourselves a chance to do that with Charley's Philly Steaks brand, which is just a slightly adjusted brand name, Charley's Grilled Subs and Charley's Philly Steaks, and it's within that Charley's Philly Steaks laboratory, if you will, that these things are happening. Specifically, we're putting 50% more cheese and steak on the sandwiches. We've introduced a third size so we can maintain an entry price point that allows for an entry point for our customers that works for them on any given day or any given financial situation. We've expanded the gourmet fry selection to 8 different flavors, including a dessert fry, which is outstanding. We've added fresh fruit and real fruit to our lemonades and our teas, and while that's still in its infancy, those are the things that a brand like ours has to do so that our existing franchisees can see that innovation, that growth, and that connection with their customers that's going to continue to support them. It's an exciting time, really.
Marty, I guess Bob didn't get the email that you're not supposed to specifically talk about the food right before lunchtime.
Yeah, I forgot to warn you, Bob. Yeah, we didn't eat breakfast, so we knew this show was going to be a killer today.
People ask me all the time, "Do you ever get sick of the food?" And I gave the same answer. I spent 12 years with a pizza company, and the answer is no. That's one of the great things about what we do is there's so much passion around food, and then if you have a real heart for serving others, this is such a great opportunity for entrepreneurs that want to step into doing something on their own. It taps into a couple of quite satisfying daily habits. You can get into taking care of other people and doing so with a meal. You can connect to human beings on a level that you just don't get to in some other business ventures.
Yeah, there's something special about a Philly cheesesteak too, Bob, isn't there? I'm 50 miles north of Philadelphia, and I know the whole history of Charley's. It happened by making a wrong turn someplace and having one of those cheesesteaks, but it really is out of this world when you have one, particularly for the first time. You say, "Oh my God, this is incredible," and it sounds like that's part of the history of Charley's. It kind of, God stepped in, I think, and kind of inspired the whole franchise concept. So it really is. It's an amazing story, and it sounds like a simple business model if you think about it as well too. For our listeners who have never been inside of a Charley's, but it does sound like a fairly simple business model or franchise system, and I think those typically make the best franchises, don't they?
They really do. They really do. I've been with 4 brands since I started, and one was a pizza delivery company. And with Domino's Pizza, I was with Wendy's for 10 years, and actually had the opportunity to run a fast casual company for them for a couple of years, and then spent the last 3 years with another burger chain, a drive-through burger chain in Florida, Checkers and Rallies. And our model is simple. It's very difficult to execute because we've kept the simplicity so that we can hold on to that fresh-made quality. So many people, even at home, you don't often make your food right before you eat it. And this word fresh gets tossed around, this notion of assembled to order. We make your sandwich for you, but the ingredients weren't cooked right then and there. And when you do that with a Philly cheesesteak, you take steak on the grill, you melt the cheese right on top of it. The onions are cooked on the grilled right in. Food tastes better. It tastes significantly better when it's made fresh. And I think we continue to tap into that. And yet, if you don't really have a passion for food or good quality food, like you said, we're of course neighbors with Pennsylvania, and I love running into to Philadelphia natives here in Central Ohio and go, gosh, you know what? I really connect with this Philly cheesesteak thing. It works for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, when franchisees get into that business and they recognize, okay, it's simple. It is a simple model. Of course, food franchising is very difficult to execute, so it's all in the execution, and that's where that passion comes in. It's one of the things that we look for when we're looking at potential franchise candidates is, we like someone who's certainly someone who's had responsibility for a business unit, whether they've been a leader or manager in a business or whatever, but understands that financial responsibility, hitting those weekly numbers. Somebody who's had leadership responsibility for entry-level employees. That's something that doesn't work for everyone, but that's what we do for a living, and you have to enjoy that and have to find satisfaction in leading and developing those people. But this is a physically demanding experience as well. But at the end of the day, if you have a real passion for this mix of food and service, I think you can overcome all of those and create a successful business.
So has there been a diversity, Bob, as far as who were your franchisees? In other words, what were they doing in their past lives? Did they have different backgrounds, or if you could explain a little bit about that?
Absolutely. One of the things I've been excited to see since I joined Charley's is the amount of diversity in our franchise population. We've got people from all kinds of different backgrounds, including immigrants to the U.S. We have people who have run other maybe family restaurants. We've got insurance agents that have come to us. We've got young people starting out straight out of college and say, I work there and I want to go right in. We have with our presence in military bases, we do have some retired soldiers that have become franchisees. So there's a great deal of diversity, but you end up finding those common values and those common beliefs that make them strong.
Interesting. What about the training? I mean, once someone decides, Bob, that they would like to, go forward and become a franchisee, how does that work?
We have a franchise training experience that we manage right here in Columbus, Ohio. We have in our office, downstairs in our office, we have a fully equipped and fully operational store. While it doesn't serve customers outside the building, it is set up including the menu and the aesthetics and everything. That also serves the back of the house in our store downstairs, serves as our test kitchen for development purposes. So trainees will come. There is a 3-week intensive in-house training experience for franchisees or their managers. We do require 2 certified trained individuals in every store. And we do have some satellite training, but most of it happens right here in Columbus. There is, of course, additional training for franchisees beyond that 3-week intensive store-level training that happens here. It isn't, it's done partially here in the office. We have some classroom training that's accomplished here as well. There's prep work that's involved before you come, and then we have, of course, local Charley stores here in Central Ohio that we'll take our trainees out to so that they get to work the store, work with our customers, and develop the skills sufficient to be able to go back to their store. When a franchisee gets prepared to open their first store, then we provide on-site support with our store opening teams as well. So we'll have 2 people there for 2 weeks to help them get set up and get open and help continue to train their team so that they can get up and running. That first store, as you guys probably know, is always the most difficult.
Right.
I tell you, I stand behind it. It's a good experience. I felt it was important for me when I joined the company. Charley and I, of course, agreed on that and spent my first 3 weeks back last December going through the experience myself. Still got the training book with all my notes and highlights, and
wow.
And loved working that grill at our mall location right here. It was a lot of fun.
Ever been tempted, Bob, to co-brand with other outfits? I'm sure they've gotten in contact with you with the growth and popularity of Charley's.
Yeah, in a direct answer to your question, probably not tempted. Would we rule it out? I would say no. But there may be, especially as we start to evolve out of the food court locations, there may be an opportunity to do that. As you look at efficient use of real estate, we have installed drive-through windows at our two most recent freestanding locations, and those have proven to be quite successful. So, you could see if we were to look at real estate efficiency, maybe there was a way to have a partner or another brand that could share the use of that space. Maybe somebody that wouldn't need a drive-through or appealed to a different day part. I certainly saw that success model when I was with Wendy's when they owned the Tim Hortons brand, and saw a lot of Wendy's Tim Hortons combo units.
That's interesting. What about the location factor, Bob? How much space is required? I know you guys are doing some different things. Charley's has been very creative, I think, with the whole location factor. Airports and Army and Air Force bases, which I hear are killer locations. So how much space is actually required to run one?
It's funny. I was looking back at some of the places where we started, and I even asked Charley, I said, tell me again how big the first store was. And he said 16 seats, 450 feet. And,
I remember seeing that,
I think if I had to, I could probably fit in 450 feet again, but we really need about 800 square feet to have the storage that we need. We are primarily a food court, inline food court type brand, and as such, if we're in that 15 to 20 foot range on the front counter, and we've got the right amount of square footage, even if for whatever reason we have to get very creative and split that up a little bit, we can. But one of the things we get high marks for with our franchisees is the flexibility in the development of the particular site that may be out there. So while we have a standard model, we know the operations flow that works the best for us, and we know how we like to position those core pieces of equipment. Even APHIS, even the military says that as the portfolio of brands that they have experience with, one of the things that allows us to be a big part of that portfolio is our flexibility. If we have to put in a topping station that may be 3 or 4 inches narrower than our standard, we can do that and we can make it work. And we certainly have put in a grill where our grill and our topping station should be on the front counter and lined up in parallel. We've put those on a 90-degree angle from one another, and that type of store works fine. It's maybe a little bit less optimal than what we'd like, but we can make that flow and make that work so that the customer experience isn't negatively affected by it. At the end of the day, everything we do, we're all aligned on this, starts with the customer in mind first, and whether it's a new product introduction, the pricing structure, or even the restaurant design like we're talking about now, has to be oriented towards what works best for our customer. Then we'll look at it through an operations lens, and then finally make sure that it works or ensure that it works financially. We don't believe that you can do that through any other order of priority and really get to the best answer. As operators, that's hard for us sometimes. We're always thinking about the most efficient way.
True.
Knowing that we're responsible for the financials, we've got an eye towards that, but you can never go wrong making sure it works best for the customer first. So that design allows us to do that. That design flexibility allows us to do that.
Great. What about a typical day? For our listeners, Bob, how would you describe a typical day as a Charley's franchisee from, I guess, like the moment they go in till going home at the end of the day?
Well, when you look at the vast majority of, not vast majority, that's an overstatement, but a large majority of our franchisees own 1, 2, or 3 locations. And so like a lot of food franchises, that means they're in the restaurants every day. When you consider that most of our stores are malls and food courts, you're looking at hours of operations that are typical for those retail environments, 10 to 10, 10 to 9 sometimes. Typical franchisee is going to work that business on the line. They might start with some administrative work in the morning. I imagine they're all looking at their numbers and maybe taking a look at whatever reports they might be pulling out of their back office systems. But in store and online by 10 or 11 o'clock. We are a customer-facing business. There's just not much else to do during those peak periods, and our best franchisees are working those lines and spending the rest of their afternoon marketing the business either within the mall or in and around those food courts, developing and training their people. They're going to work 5 or 6 days a week on a pattern that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. You've been involved in franchising for a long time now, Bob. What advice would you give to our listeners? We call them aspiring franchipreneurs looking to buy a franchise. What would you say to them from all the years of doing this?
I tell you, I think one of the most important things that potential franchisees, whether it's in the food industry or other industries, is to think about some of the questions that you've been asking me. First of all, what am I into this for? Am I looking to build a growth-oriented business? Am I hoping to serve my community in a better way, or do I have a real passion for food and for service, or maybe dealing with other types of products? And you want to do a first filter against those personal alignment issues that are the ones that really strike to the core of your personal passions. But once you get past that and you feel like maybe you're fishing in the right pond for the type of or the industry that will serve you well as an entrepreneur, the cultural fit and the understanding of the culture within that franchise organization there, if you're gonna do Philly Steaks, we're the biggest out there, but we're not the only one. We think we continue to grow while others are struggling to do that because of who we are as much as what we do. And I think that's one of the most important decisions you can make, whether it's a personal relationship that's going to be a long-standing relationship or a business partnership, signing a 10-year or 20-year contract. You need to really understand who's on the other side of that table. What's important to them? What can you count on them to do? How do they make decisions? Not necessarily what decisions have they made recently. And is there leadership and management in place within the franchisor that's going to be the type of leadership and management that I want to be a part of as a brand? That at the end of the day, that's what you're paying the royalties for, is for the brand.
Right.
While at the heart of that brand is a group of people working off a set of core values and beliefs that will either continue to bring that brand to life or not. And that I think is the most important thing that they can do. Spend some time. And of course, the ways to do that, they're pretty straightforward. Come in, interview us, talk to our fellow franchisees, ask the tough questions about bad decisions, good decisions, how we've handled difficult problems, and anyone with discernment can get to the heart of those relationship issues pretty quickly.
Well said. We're going to have to put that in our great quotes in franchising, huh, Don?
Definitely, yeah. Great answer.
As far as advice to our listeners, so that's fantastic. But what's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Are there any websites they should go to, any numbers they should call?
Yeah, the best thing to do is just go to our website, www.charleys.com.
Easy enough. And I want to thank you again, Bob. You've been a fantastic guest, and Don and I are both a big fan of your franchise. I've been following Charleys for a long time now, so you're definitely with a winner over there. So just keep growing, and we'll have you guys back next year.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure, Marty. Thank you, Don. Thank you very much. You guys enjoy your day.
Good job,
Thanks
Bob.
so much, Bob. Have a great day. It's a great show, huh, Don?
Yeah, franchise knows what they're doing. Said over 400 locations, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I was a little off on my numbers. I was, I said, oh my God, they've had some amazing growth in a fairly, probably the source that I was looking at wasn't quite up to date, and probably from a couple of years ago. So they've had some amazing growth from the source I was originally using. So it's fantastic. I mean, again, it's I love this model because I think it's so simple, And again, those are the best types of franchise systems is the easy ones, to follow. So, fantastic. So good job, Don. And for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com, franchisefunding.net, gofranchise.com, and I guess I'll be seeing you next week for another great show, Don.
Great.
Getting closer to our 5-year anniversary and 250th show, right? So milestone for us too.
Just a few weeks.
Exactly. Good job, Don. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great day.